Hello and welcome to the Mental Wellness Ministry podcast brought to you by Adam Road Presbyterian Church. This is a podcast that helps you safeguard your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, especially during this time of COVID-19. My name is Joanne, and today we are exploring the topic of social media, especially in the context of COVID-19. Increasingly, we are reading about and experiencing social media fatigue, and it can feel overwhelming and depressing, as one listener has put across in this question. Firstly, the question asks, how do we tune out the constant wave of depressing news about COVID-19? When I turn on my phone, I get flooded with COVID news from WhatsApp chat groups. Many are fake news and carry very negative content that group members are forwarding without checking on accuracy or usefulness of the information. What can I do, or how do I advise others to minimize the circulation of these unhelpful messages without hurting feelings? And secondly, the question also asks, how can we build a routine that helps us to focus on God during this circuit breaker? Thank you for your question. Today, we have Senior Pastor Christopher Chia and Miss Margaret Lee, a counselor, to help us answer these questions we have about social media and how to manage it wisely. Hello to both of you.
Hi, Joanne.
Hello. Hi, Joanne.
It's good to have you here with us today. Let's hear from Margaret first about how to tune out the constant wave of COVID-19 news from our phones.
Yeah. Hi, Joanne. Yeah, this is really an issue now. I think most of us have a mobile phone, and we are all struggling with this constant wave of depressing news and overload of information. So to the listener, you are not alone in feeling overwhelmed. We cannot keep up with the information, and yet at the same time, we feel that we must, as we are afraid of losing out or miss out on some important piece of information. Or we are afraid of being seen as distant if we do not respond with at least a thumbs up or a laughing emoji to the numerous jokes forwarded by friends. But such constant vigilance of our phones robs us of our peace and makes us stressed, anxious, and depressed. We feel hopeless and helpless and feel that there is just no way to stop these messages from coming in without also throwing out the important ones. But we can't tell which are the important ones and which are fake news. This confusion adds to our already overworked and fatigued brains, and it is no surprise that this negatively affects our mental well-being.
Yes, I think we can all relate to these feelings. So is leaving a chat group or telling our friends that we don't want to receive any more of this COVID-19 negativity the answer to all of our problems?
Well, if you can do so, that would definitely help. But for most of us, it's not possible to exit all chat groups, terminate all social media accounts, and live in solitary confinement. Nor would we want to. But there are some things we can do to help ourselves regain our peace amidst this madness. In recent weeks, I have found some ways that helped me, and I hope that they will help you too. So the first thing is set limits. Decide what chat groups are non-essential and which are essential, and mute the non-essential chat groups. So non-essential would be perhaps a chat group of your alumni school friends, or some other secondary friends, or your workout groups, right? And essential chat groups probably maybe family and definitely work, right? Number two, the second tip I have is for the non-essential chat groups, scroll through them about once a day, or maybe at most twice. So as you scroll through them, give yourself permission not to read all the messages, to click on all the links, or watch all the videos posted. Ask yourself, would you be better off or worse off by looking at them? And how much would you lose if you didn't read all these messages or watch all those videos? I would hazard a guess that you probably wouldn't have lost much if you didn't. And the third tip I have for you is, before you turn on your phone and throughout the day as you pick up your phone to scroll through the numerous messages, especially in the non-essential chat, ask God to guard your heart and mind so that you will not be shaken by the messages you read and the images that you see. Ask God to lead you to choose to read messages that are important and give you peace to skip others. And trust God to bring important information to you in other ways if you missed reading them on social media.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Margaret. Well, these are really useful tips, and whilst we are able to protect ourselves against the onslaught of messages, how can we make sure that we are not the ones forwarding the fake news and discouraging content to other people?
Yeah, that is equally important as well. We have to take ownership of what we forward by checking the accuracy of what we are forwarding and being selective in what we forward so as not to contribute to the information overload of others.
Yes, thank you, Margaret, for all these helpful tips on managing social media fatigue and overwhelm. Let's go back now to the second part of the question that asks, how can we build a routine that helps us to focus on God during the circuit breaker? So, Margaret, you have any practical tips for us?
Yes, actually, of all the tips I've given earlier, I find this last tip to be essential to my mental well-being. Once a day, usually in the early evening, as the day is winding down, I take a break from all the messages and silence my phone. I take a walk around my estate, and please remember to wear a mask. I look around at the trees and the flowers. I look up at the sky. I smell the jasmine flowers. I smell someone cooking dinner. I hear the birds chirping, preparing to turn in for the night. I am in the present, enjoying the present, and enjoying the presence of God through His creation. Sometimes a Bible verse may come to mind, or sometimes not. And sometimes I tell Him about my day, my worries, but sometimes I'm just silently enjoying His presence. There's no need for words, for He knows my heart. I recall the words of a song. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in His wonderful face, and the things of this earth will grow strangely dim in the light of His beauty and grace. And after a time of quiet, I end my walk. I retrace my steps home, thanking Him for this time of being with Him, a time of refocusing, refreshing. Then I pick up my phone again, trusting that God is in control and He is always with me.
Thank you, Margaret. That was so soothing. I am so convinced now that you should use an app, record your voice so that we can all hear what you have just said over and over again, especially if we need to relax. For one, I would download the app and I would get your voice into my daily routine. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this useful, essential tip to your mental well-being. Dear listeners, we hope that you have been encouraged and blessed by our session today. The Mental Wellness Ministry podcast is brought to you by Adam Road Presbyterian Church. God bless you and keep you. If you have a question for us, please email mental.wellness@arpc.sg or send a direct message to @soundmind.sg on Facebook or Instagram. The Mental Wellness Ministry podcast is now streaming on all your favorite platforms. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or Facebook. Tune in the way you like it for your Soundbites for Sound Minds today.